Okay, my name is Jessie Mathis, and I'm glad to be here today with the host of our friends. My name is, and I graduated from Dole High School in 1963.
My name is Larry Mathis. I attended Dole High School, but I graduated from Cuero High School in 1966.
My name is Clifton Ransom. I attended Dole and Cuero High and graduated in Fort Worth.
My name is Millie Brown Wesley. I attended Dole High School and graduated in 1961.
My name is Betty Daly Green. I graduated from Dole in 1962.
And I'm Gloria Wesley. I went to Dole, but I graduated from Cuero High in 1966.
So, ladies and gents, I have a few questions that I want to ask, and feel free to expound on them in your own way. The first question is going to be for you to tell us how you felt about growing up in Cuero. What was it like growing up in Cuero?
Yeah.
Anybody?
Oh, I enjoyed growing up in Cuero, and I grew up. I was born and raised here, and growing up in Cuero, everything was really nice, and we didn't have a lot, but we were happy,
Right.
and we were well trained. We had good teachers, and like I told them, I didn't realize we were poor until I got grown, because we had everything that we needed. A lot of things that we wanted we didn't have, but we had everything that we needed.
My name is Nellie Brown Wesley. I enjoyed being here in Cuero. I didn't understand that I was poor. I enjoyed my family life here. The children in the neighborhood, we all played together, and we knew each other. We knew our relatives. We knew the people that was around us. We enjoyed being in the community, and we were going to school through the week, church on the weekends, different things that we did on the weekends. We had to hustle to get what we needed, but we were able to go and do what we pleased, and I enjoyed being in this area. I didn't know the difference. I didn't know it was that big a difference until I got older and moved away from
Okay.
Cuero.
Miss Wesley just mentioned enjoyed what we did. Can anybody want to expound on what did we do for fun? What do you remember the things that you used to do that never escape your mind? What?
Okay, it's fun.
Yes.
As I was coming up, it was families on our street. We played ball, we shot marbles, we played jacks, the boys played football, anything you can think of. We didn't have everything that you use. We had sticks for bats. We made our streets, we put out whatever we found, we made a thing for our bases. Sometime our parents would be out there with us playing. And through the week we played. And on the weekend, on Saturday mornings, we used to collect Coke bottle caps and go to the Rialto Theater to see a movie. And sometime all of us wouldn't have it, but ones that had it, we would divide it up between the ones in the neighborhood to help who all could go. On the weekends, we would go to the park to play, and at night we could go to the park, but no matter how, well, I had a curfew. We had a curfew. We had to be in. Parents was out there watching us as we played at the park. And we would be in, and Sunday mornings, I was awakened early in the morning, had to be at Sunday school. 11 o'clock service, my grandparents picked us up. We went from 11 o'clock service, we had lunch at church. In the afternoons, we had church in the evening, and BYPU at 7. Then you go home, you go to bed, and next day we was at school again. And this is our routine, and a lot of us was in different auxiliaries, like the band or football, baseball, different things like that, and they practice in the afternoons after school. After that, you went home, and it was the same routine, but it wasn't nothing unusual for us. We enjoyed it. And the young man to my right here, he lived across the street from me. This young man lived down the street from me, so we were just raised up together. We was raised up together, and we just did everything like a family, and like whichever one had the TV first on the street, I remember we all went to that house and watched TV. Telephone, the first telephone. You run to this one and use the telephone. It was just different things like that, so it wasn't nothing unusual for us.
Okay. Somebody else want to tell us about fun things that they did growing up?
Well, we didn't really have that luxury and city life. We stayed in the country, but we still had my brothers and sisters, and then we had church. We had members that looked after us, you know. We sung in the choir, and we had the park. We went to the park, you know, and we also had curfews because our parents was pretty strict. But we still enjoyed being here.
You guys,
Yeah,
what kind of fun
Well,
things
no,
did you do?
we kind of got the same story because we lived on the same street. But
They were neighbors.
I know we had. I remember playing ball in the street, shooting marbles in the street. We also had 3 places we played sports at because there was a place next to Larry's grandfather. We played baseball. Then the field back was a football field, and we just enjoyed it. You know, it's just and I remember the Tuckers had the first color TV. We used to get up every Saturday morning and go watch cartoons over his house.
Yeah, and most of the guys that live on the street are in the neighborhood. Well, my father was, he was a baseball coach, Little League Baseball. So I had to play baseball. I didn't want to play, but he made me play. And I'm glad he did because I turned out to be a pretty good, decent baseball player. Matter of fact, I turned out being a pretty good athlete because of him, because of things that I didn't want to do. I was kind of forced to do them because my older brother did them. So he said, since your brothers did them, you need to do them. I didn't want, because I was kind of like the one that, you know, I didn't want to do that. I got a lot of whoopings for not wanting to do that, but it was, I'm glad I got those whoopings, and it was fun. And in the end, it made me a better person today. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot
Okay,
of fun.
you've talked a lot about the things you did within your neighborhood, but would you like to talk about some things in the city, you know, as a group, as a community that you did that was fun?
Like going down to the park, when Mr. Doodleboy and his wife had the park, we would go down there at night. And then Miss Georgia Brawley had a night spot for the children, and we could go to that. But my sister was small, and she wasn't allowed to go. And the only way I could go is my brother. Leroy had to take me. I couldn't go. And my curfew was 9 o'clock. So Leroy would have to bring me home at 9 o'clock, and he would go back. He could stay to 10. But we could go to the park, and all of the records, like they were playing last night, they were dancing. We did all of that. And now, you know, we tell the children they're not supposed to do this. But all of the things that the children are doing now, we did it to a certain extent, you know.
Okay.
And some of the other things that we was able to do when we was growing up is that I had a chance to go to football games, and my brothers played football, and on Saturdays we'll get a chance to go watch my brothers play football. And on Fridays we had a chance. Back then, the white school played football on Fridays, and the black school played football on Saturdays. So on Fridays, we had an opportunity to go and watch the Cuero High School football games. You know, since they would let us in, since young kids, you know, pay 5 or 10 cents, you could go watch the game. We couldn't sit in the stands, but they had seats on the side of the bleachers where we could sit and watch the game. But on Saturdays, we could go to the games and we could sit in the stand and watch the Dole Rams or the Dole, back at that time, the Dole Black Gobblers, which at that time it was Black Gobblers and White Gobblers before became the Dole Rams. But in my younger days, we could go watch the Black Gobblers play football on Saturdays and the White Gobblers play football on Fridays.
Okay. Oh, would you like to tell us some things about what other things in the community? We've heard about the football. We know that a lot of the families lived in the rural areas. Saturdays, as I can remember, used to be a special day because those people in the rural areas would come to town, and a lot of times they spend the day in town. You remember any of the places they used to go to spend the
I was born and raised in Cheeside, and my dad would work a half a day on Saturdays, and then he would come home and we would come to town, and we played in front of, I think it was Cuddy Hay, and Joseph's grocery store, and across the street was Miss Bessie Pleasant. And that was a treat for us because we'd get an ice cream cone, we'd get soda, and then right next door was the drugstore. Right next to Joseph's Grocery was the drugstore. Bullock. Yeah. And the Nobles, the Fries, we all played together on that street. But at 6 o'clock, we'd all go back home. We would just come that evening and we all played together on that street. But at 6 o'clock, we'd all go back home. We would just come that evening and stay all day. But they would give us a quarter. And that quarter would last us the whole time we were there, and then sometimes we would still go home with money.
I just remember Saturdays, I belonged to the band, so we had band practices and different things like that, different auxiliary like that we had. But as a family, we used to go and sit up on, I can't remember the street, but it was Miss Bessie's. We used to sit out there on benches with the people that come from the country, Naomi and Sarah Ross and the Hopkins and the Mabrys and the
Johnsons.
The Johnsons and Bob's family, the Greens and the Price. The older people would come there and we would go there and we would eat hamburgers and things sitting inside, and the children was outside, and then at night sometimes they would take us walking down the street. We'd go and look through the shops like the Fair and the J.C. Penney, Sears, the stores that we used to go and just look inside the stores. They would take us through there. We'd walk through town and we'd go back and sit in Miss Bessie's for a while. The next thing we know, it was time to go home because we had to be ready to go to bed and go to church the next morning. But I remember that, and band practices and different things that we had to go to extra. And older, we would be prepared because we was either going on trips with the band would be going with the football team. We'd have to be ready to go get on the bus so we could go follow the football team, different things like that. But it was just a family-oriented community. And used to have barbecues and different things that was functions to raise money for the band, the football team, and also I think Mr. Sampson used to have those boys, with the
FFA.
raising animals and things. And they used to do community things like selling barbecue plates and different things to raise money for that. For us to be able to travel and do what we had to do and raise money for uniforms and things that were needed at the school to supplement what we got. So
I heard Clifford mention Boney's a while ago. You want to expound a little bit on Boney's?
Well, bonus and everything for the hot sausage, and her grandfather worked
Grandfather
there.
made the sausage.
But everybody, seemed like everybody come to town on weekend, and end up going through bonus, getting the sausage and eating, you know, just one of the places people stopped at every day when they come to town.
And we had to
And
go
plus,
to
it just
that.
wasn't rural people was here on weekends. It was people like from Yorktown, Golad, they was all here. I mean, Cuero downtown Main Street was like walking down the street in New York somewhere, you know?
And we had to go to the back door to get the
Yeah.
sausage.
Yeah, I remember those days, yeah.
We couldn't go through the front. We had to go to the back door and get sausage for my grandfather.
Okay, well, what have you seen that's changed? I guess that question is probably redundant because you in your comments you've kind of said some things that changed, but tell us in your own words, what do you see, what you did then that you don't do now, you don't have to do now?
We were able to go and shop if we had money. And we were able to put stuff up in layaway if we didn't have the money to buy it that day. We used to put it up in layaway and pay on it every weekend. I was one of the ones for my mother, go and pay on the layaways and different things like that. Those stores are not here anymore. And I kind of missed that myself when I was coming back visiting my mom. We weren't able to go and just do shopping. Those stores disappeared. I guess going to the larger cities like Victoria and things like that, the economic point.
The other thing, back then we had a lot of neighborhood grocery stores too.
Yeah.
They all gone.
What you call 'em? Mom and pop
Mom and
stores.
pop stores, you know.
We could go and get
Mr. Pinky, Mr. Martin, Red Dot, and all them.
Mr. Pinky's.
And Kelly's, and we don't have no those kind of stores anymore. Everybody had a credit account there, you know.
Yeah, if you didn't have the money, we could go get credit at certain stores. It was
Okay.
paid for by the
things
parents on
change.
weekends.
When you say changes, I remember my mom used to go to K. Woolen's, Green Garden, and she would buy different things. But when she went in there to get a pair of stockings, she didn't tell them what kind she wanted. They automatically gave her a Red Fox. Now, you can go in and buy what you want. And after my dad died, my mom moved to Houston, and she would go and buy things. She'd get a dress that was too big for her. She said, "Oh, I can take it up to fit me." You don't have to do that anymore. Take it back and get one to fit you. You know, she bought some shoes. She say, "These shoes hurt my feet. Take them back." She said, "Oh no, you can't do that." What am I gonna tell them? Tell them they hurt your feet. That's all you have to tell them. Because they wasn't used to doing that.
Right.
And it took us a long time to get it to her that you can demand what you want now because you can afford to pay for it, you know.
But see, it was that generation.
Yeah.
And then we know, so we speak up.
I tell people before we had the first super Walmart in Cuero, Green Garden.
Yeah, right. And when you went in, they watch you.
Oh, they still kind of do, but now we more outspoken and we know.
There's when I was a lot younger, and I used to go uptown, and what has changed for me is that there was a water fountain. They had a water fountain, and they had a black water fountain and a white water fountain.
Yeah.
And that, that's, it kind of teed me up, but there was nothing I can do because back then it was set up like that. Plus, the bus station. I mean, this was happened kind of lately. I had just got out of high school and in the military, and I would come home. I could ride the bus, sit anywhere, but when I got to Cuero, the people they had a little bench sitting outside for us to sit on.
Yes, yes.
We had to sit up. We couldn't go inside. The white, the whites would go inside and they could sit, but if I'm waiting on the bus, I'm outside, and if it's raining, and this was back in 1960s, what's that, 68? This was in 68.
You could
That's
order
right.
something to eat, but you had to go through this
That's
little
right.
alley
To get
and
it.
order it through this window. They would give it to you through the window, and then you come back outside and sit on the bench.
That's right.
Okay, you know, we've heard quite a, and I think we all can attest to the same things. Heard a lot about the town, but I'm interested in hearing more about the things that we did at school that help us, that kind of pull us together, that help us to be successful in whatever we did. I want to hear more about the camaraderie of the kind of things that we done in school. And if I could just get you started, Nellie brought the band, and you remember sometimes Mr. Hegwood would get a spell on, and he thought things weren't going like they supposed to, and then when those gates opened, we had to go out those gates, and we marched till sundown all over town. Those kind of things, and what did the teachers do to get you to learn? What did they use to substitute for things that they were missing? Could anybody elaborate on what some of the things that you saw done?
I can elaborate on. When I was going, well, not my senior year, but my sophomore and freshman year. So like back in the day, if you wasn't doing your work in school, you could get called to the office, and you would sit down and talk to the principal, blah blah blah. He would say this and that, and if you're not going to do that, if you come back to the office again, it was going to be some tough love, some tough learning love. And what he was going to do is pull that paddle out and give you a few licks. But all it was is tough love so you can go back and work hard, because he wanted us to succeed.
Right.
But
Yeah,
that
I can
tough
remember that tough
love,
love when I first started school. Miss Susie told me, I whip your mama, I whip you.
but tough love, they were teaching us
Right.
because they would tell us, you do this because one day you're going to be able to do. So they had to teach us back then. What did they say? You can't appreciate the sunshine without the rain or whatever. Because we know that it's raining today, but they was preparing us
Right.
because they knew eventually we were going to get to where we are now. And if you couldn't handle it back then, you wasn't going to be able to handle it now.
I get a mind. Again, on your list you gave, you heard that we did have substantial. The school district didn't provide us all everything that we need. So could anybody remember how we were able to get a lot of the things that we needed because the school district didn't pay for it?
Our teachers went in their pockets, some of them, and went out of town, bought what was needed in the classroom, brought it back, and we had to, everybody had to use it, and it was so many they could buy. I'm sure they wasn't making no money either. But like the supplies that they needed, they would bring them, and all the students would use them, and we had to work with it. That's what we had to work with. I was like Miss Fuller, sewing machines, things. She got the secondhand sewing machines, and if they broke down, if she could find somebody to work on the sewing machines, she did. But with the sewing machines, we all had to use the same sewing machine, and we worked on, you worked for so many minutes, you worked for so many minutes, you did such and such, and she divided it up where we all was using the equipment, but we just had to work together to do it. Same way with the books, the typewriters, the whatever was needed there. Even I remember my aunt, she used to go and get things out of her pocket, like the San Antonio. she'd go up there, I don't know, I guess it was school supply, something or something, she'd get what was needed, come back and they would divide it. I don't know how they did it, but they divided stuff up and that's what we worked with.
Okay, how else? I want to give you guys a chance, but I can remember other ways. In fact, Nellie, your dad was a big part of the Booster Club.
Yeah, him
And
and Mr. Shelton.
they had fundraisers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you want to tell us a little about some of the things they did, and how they raised money. The band uniforms, we had drives, we had
through barbecues.
if you might tell them a little bit about the dance band that Mr. Hagewood put together, wrote
I
all the
was in
music
that.
for. I know you were. Wrote all the music for. We played senior and junior prom. So those were ways that we helped. I don't know if that was legal or not, but evidently I know we got paid for it, and we didn't get paid, but the school were
But
supplemented.
that went through to help get the school
Yeah.
uniforms and things
Yeah.
like that.
And the football jackets and
Mhm.
stuff like that. The school district didn't supply the cost for those. So Booster Club members
Yeah.
pitched in, and somebody mentioned earlier businesses. In fact, some weeks ago we did a list of the African American businesses over the years. And if you go back, and I've spent a lot of time lately in the Cuero record. If you go back and look at the Cuero record when the Dole was promoting something, you would see ads from many of the businesses, and many of them were, we call them beer joints, but they were supportive of the school, and they always bought ads and supplied what they could. So one of the community, the African American community, and we might have had good friends from the other side of town, but we know about the Booster Club providing goods, and we know about them. I know I've seen articles. Mr. Anderson Nobles was a pretty well off African American that had a lot of land area, and he would provide beef where you'd have a raffle, make several $100 a year. So it was like that we were able to survive and be able to have the things that we wanted that weren't supplied by Cuero ISD.
But I subscribe to the Cuero Record. I get it every Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the Chamber of Commerce,
Mm-hmm.
there is no names for black people. Nobody on the Chamber of Commerce. I don't see any black names. Okay, then they have what they call this Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm.
You put your money in memory of somebody, Okay, I do that every year. But you don't see black people participating in nothing. What are the black people doing in Cuero?
Well, they need people that know better to motivate them.
Yeah.
But I'd just like to say that 2 years ago, the Larry Carter was the Chamber of Commerce Volunteer of the Year. So there are a few, and we'll talk about that tonight. There are a few people, city council persons, Ted Battles and Sonny Griffith have been school board members. So there are a few, but let the African Americans in this town are just like you and I and all the rest of them. Why did they move away? Because they needed a better job, a better opportunity. So what you have left, and I don't mean no disrespect to any of our families, because we all have people here, but what we have left are people that weren't too aggressive, that settled for what they could get. So that's the reason why. And that's the reason why I'm down here 2 or 3 times a week sometimes and doing these kind of things. And I'd like to say thank y'all for taking your time out, but it's somebody has to do it.
Right.
Do you think that you got as good an education at Dole High School as you would have gotten at Cuero High?
Well, when we were seniors when we went.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I really didn't want to go, but we were forced to go.
Okay.
I think I could have did better, but I just did you know, what was necessary. So that was kind of left up to me, but it was okay. But Dole, like she said, we did the best with what we had, you know. So
Yeah,
that's an individual thing, I think.
yeah,
too.
like Gloria B said, when we went there, I'm like her, I didn't want to go. But, you know, we was forced to go. And by being, to me, forced to do, I'm forced to do something I don't want to do. I kind of like, you know, I just want to just,
It's my last year.
yeah, I only had 1 year. I just want to do enough, in which if I was thinking like I should have, I would have
That's it.
done better.
That's-
But I didn't apply myself, you know, the way that I should have, because I had more material, more information, and I could have made myself a whole lot wiser if I would listen to detail and listen. But my mind frame was totally different because I didn't want to be there.
Okay, but,
Uh,
okay,
I went Cuero High first year integration volunteering, and I noticed that year they had classes at Cuero High that we didn't have at Dole, like accounting and stuff like that. But it was different when I went back. But when I came back, I didn't really want to go because I really want to stay with my people here.
Yes.
But I really didn't put enough focus on my class, so I kind of dropped out and then went forward.
okay, what I'm hearing, and I'm hearing that, and I think everybody agree, you did the best there with what you had. But my question is, did you have what you need to be successful in any field that you wanted to endure when you got out past high school? So my question remains: do you think you could have got you think the information presented to you at Dole was equal to what you would have had the opportunity to have at Cuero High?
I wasn't fortunate enough to go to Cuero.
Well, as
But
kind
to
of
me-
it's kind
me-
of
But like we say, for what we did, you know, it was there. It was left up to us, you know. Because we were seniors and we were used to Dole all those 11 years.
well.
So-
We're not so much talking, and I hope I need to let you talk.
Okay, make
We're not so
sure.
much talking about what you used to. We're talking about the ability to succeed in this world. You know,
But you know, the ability, like you say, we took what we had. The ability comes up, you might be in you, but you have to mature too. And realize what you had and you did the best with what you had.
okay.
I don't think it was, I didn't go to that school.
Yeah.
My brothers and them did, but I don't think we were equal to that school, not at all.
Right.
Nowhere close to it. Nowhere close to it. If I had was fortunate enough to have gone 4 years at that school, I think I would have been, now I don't know it for sure, but I think some of us would have been a lot better off.
Okay.
That's what we say.
I really do. I really do. But it's like you say, if you there, they were there,
Yeah,
forced to go,
that's-
so they really may not have, they did what they had to do to get out of
That's it.
school.
That's it.
But if they knew
That's it. That's what I'm saying.
then what they know now,
That's what I'm
they
saying.
would have been applied, but that's past. So
Okay.
you have to think about whether or not
Yeah.
you know, you have to remember, you have to apply yourself a lot of times. If you don't apply and try to get what's there, that's given to you, you won't get it.
Yeah.
You won't
okay.
get it.
Okay, we don't want to dwell now. Let's move on. Okay, well, let me ask this question. As we look back on our lives and on the people that went on before us, why do you think that we have had so many successful students? You know, as I look at, I learn all the time talking to people that, look, this guy's granddaughter is a circuit court appeals judge. You know, this guy. Why do you think that ex-Dole students and their families have been as successful as they were?
Motivation and goals. Set your goals and get motivated to do what you need to do and apply yourself.
Okay.
What application do you have that qualifies success? What are you calling successful?
Well, setting
Yeah.
a goal and reaching it.
But are you saying that you got to be a lawyer, a doctor, or whatever to be successful?
No,
You know, what
Right.
are you saying? You think that you have to be successful?
no. But what I said was that we have found success and I just used some of the higher levels because we found students from our background that are at those levels. But no, that's not the only success. I
That's
just
right.
use that example as I call it a higher level because we have to know that there are some skills that you have to learn and develop for those that you might not have to have if you successful at something that doesn't take the skill level. So I mean, it's all important, but that's what I'm getting at. I want to know how can we be doctors and lawyers and business owners and sports trainers and still, well, I want to know what your opinion and still get a second-rate education. And then I guess I'm using that, and I think Nellie said it too. To be honest with you, I don't feel that we could have got a good education at Dole as we could at Cuero High. But what you all have said is that we applied and what we got and we learned and people helped us. But she brought up the point where the books had 10 page names in them, meaning and pages missing. So again, and we're not hassling about that. That's happened.
That's right.
And that's one reason that I brought up the point. We've been successful anyway.
That's right.
So that's why I asked the question: what is it that motivated us to be just as successful? I think I know those of us that went to Dole don't think we had an opportunity to have the same things that some of the bigger schools had, the other schools, but we still have successful people. And my question is, what was the motivation to you, to those people, to us that achieved? What was the motivation? Why do you think we succeeded?
I think it started with the parents, our teachers, and then after you got out into the world, you saw all of these things that you were exposed to, and you worked hard, and you achieved it.
One thing I can say, when I was growing up, my parents would tell me they wanted us to be a whole lot better off than
Yeah,
them.
they were.
So in order to achieve that, they said they didn't have the education, they didn't get a chance to go to school, but we have an opportunity to go to school and you can be anything you want to be, but you have to apply yourself. And the only way you could get that is through education, and they told us that. And we had to do that. I wish I'd have pursued it like I should have. But I went to Prairie, but I didn't finish Prairie. All right. My daughter, I made sure that you are going to go to college, you're going to get your degree, and to me, I want you to be somebody. We have a name. Let this Mathis name mean something. Say, where you from? Well, my father's from Cuero. Oh, I know those Mathises. They are some well-educated people, and they do things in the community, or they do things wherever they at. They are good people. They are educated people, So I tell my daughter, when you have kids, you make sure your kids get them an education. Because, like I said, you can be anything you want to. You can be a president now. Anything you want to be now, you can do it. But you cannot do it without education. That's the bottom line. You can just, that's it.
Okay, let's move on to the Supreme Court decision in 1954 where it said that they couldn't have the separate but equal. And let's face it, I asked a question earlier, and that was a kind of catch-22. The courts ruled that
Right.
they weren't equal. They were separate, but they weren't equal. So that was kind of a catch-22 question, but it was good to hear, the feeling. One thing I discerned from that conversation is that we don't have hard feelings because we didn't have equal things. We took what we had and we did the best with it. So again, a couple of these questions were kind of twofold, because you turn around and ask you why with substandard equipment and maybe teachers at sometimes, why did we still succeed? So anyway, this court ruling tells us that, and we knew that anyway. But what to those of you that knew you were going to have to make the transition to Cuero High School, what were your feelings?
Well, for me, like I said, I didn't really want to go, but we was kind of forced to have to do that. And what kind of settled me a little bit.
Equipment and maybe teachers at sometimes, why did we still succeed? So anyway, this court ruling tells us that, and we knew that anyway. But what to those of you that knew you were going to have to make the transition to Cuero High School, what were your feelings?
Well, for me, like I said, I didn't really want to go, but we was kind of forced to have to do that. And what kind of settled me a little bit before I went there, Cuero High School, I played a lot of sports at Dole, and my junior year, the assistant coach at Cuero High School came to Dole, and we had all the athletes that were juniors and sophomores and freshmen. We had a meeting in the cafeteria, and the coach came in, and he was welcoming us to, looking forward to us to come to Cuero High School. It wasn't the head coach, it was the assistant coach. So assistant coach, he was all good. We all gravy. When you come there, whatever position you play, we're gonna let you give you opportunity to play it, blah blah blah. Everything's gonna be fine. But once we got to the high school, I think Coach Engel, I never forget his name, Coach Engel. I don't know if that was his first year or second year at Cuero. But anyway, we go up to the school, and like I said, all the athletes, we had about a good 30 black athletes at the time wanted to play football. So we all said, oh man, we're gonna have a good football team. We got all these other guys that could be playing football. Some of those guys, some of those white guys were pretty good, but most of the black guys are a whole lot better. But we were saying, oh man, cause we had practice, 2-a-day practice. Oh man, we're gonna have a good football team. So with that mix and us combined together, we're gonna be pretty good. But what happened is that we had more. The black players were a whole lot better than the white players. We had about 5 real good white players at the time. 5 real good that we thought was real, because we was a whole lot better than, I hate to say it, we were a whole lot better than. But anyway, at that time they had tour days at the high school, and we were not used to having tour days, because Dole, we practiced in the evening, that was it. But at Cuero High School, they had tour days. You practiced in the morning, you practiced in the afternoon. And during that time, a lot of the guys worked. We worked in the morning, but we could be at practice in the afternoon. So when we first started tour days, it was fine. You know, we could do it, you know. But as we went through tour days, and the coach could tell that the black players were better than the white players. So one day, I don't know what he was thinking about that day. He decided we're gonna have a goal line defense. If you know anything about football, JC, he knows. We have goal line defense. So what he decided to do, which I thought was the craziest thing in the world, he took all the white football players, and we would say, what are you finna do? Took all the white guys go on this, on the right side, all the black guys go on the left. I said, and we still wondering, what are you doing? He said, we're gonna practice goal line defense. We said, okay. He said, I'm gonna let the white guys on offense first and the black guys on defense. And we said, what is it? I mean, we 17, 16 years, what is he doing? We just thought, okay, well, we'll do it. It's football. We want to play football. So we lined up goal line defense. The white guy, they ran about 10 plays. Goal line, they need about 3 yards across the goal line. They ran about 10 to 15 plays, then they get in the yard. So we having fun, because we didn't like them that much anyway at that time, so we were just beating them up. We were knocking them all over the place. So the coach, he get a little tick. We could tell, okay, let's switch. We let the white guys on defense and the black guys on offense. And then we laughed, because we knew they were better than they were. So every time, I was a quarterback, every time I took a snap, somebody was going in the end zone. We ran about 10 plays, 10 touchdowns. He got mad, threw his hat down on the floor, and said, practice is over. No more practice. Okay, so we go home and come back the next day. Like some of the guys didn't come to practice in the morning. Then he said, if you don't come to practice, in the morning, you can't play. After he had told us that we could, because he knew that some of the guys had to work. So what he did is that after a couple of days, it was 5 black players left out of 30. And I wanted to quit, but you know, my parents said, if you start something, don't quit. You can't quit. So I had to stay. Plus, I had a cousin, JC's brother. His father probably told him the same thing. I know he wanted to quit too, because him and I both wanted to quit. Robert Mathis. So 5 of us stayed, and the other 25 was kicked off the team.
Okay, I think we all got a feel for what kind of things is happening, but I think we're all grateful for the change that finally did happen with Coach Gilbert.
Right.
So, what do you think about the athletic program now? Do you have any of you still have brothers, cousins, people in the athletic program now, and second part of that question, do you think there's any bias or prejudice like that anymore in the athletic department?
It's still there, but it's not as bad as it used to be, because it's a whole lot better now than what it was. Because back then they wouldn't give us the opportunity to play. Now we have the opportunity to play, and the only problem we have now, well, I see at Cuero High School is the opportunity. Well, like, we can play every position at Cuero High School now, other than quarterback. You can play anything else other than quarterback. You can play quarterback on JV, but you can't play quarterback in high school. See, and that I don't know why come that started happening here lately. When Buster Gilbert took over, he didn't care. If you played what position you played, you could play. If you're the best player, you could play. But after he left, that quarterback position almost changed. Matter of fact, it did change. Matter of fact, I think the last black quarterback they had was in 1986, if I'm correct. I might be wrong. And that was the last time they won a state championship, in 1986. I might be wrong. But that's the only thing. You can play any position now at Cuero. But I have seen, because I go to a lot of games when they play, because they make the playoffs almost every year. And here lately, that's the only position that, for some reason, I don't know why they don't want us to play that. But it should change this year. Hopefully it changes this year, because they have a very good football team. And all they need is a quarterback. And they have a quarterback, and he's a black young man. So if he don't play quarterback, he is the best quarterback they have now. And if he's not the quarterback, that's a problem.
Okay, I think we've touched on a lot of things, and I'd like to conclude by asking this last question. And it said, over the years, what changes have you seen in Cuero? And talking about the entire community, and tell us if they were good, they better, or if it's for worse.
Okay, once you cross Esplanade on the other side,
Mhm.
and you go a little bit further, it's depressing. Because I would like the black neighborhood to look a little bit better. It's a lot of trailer homes, and I feel unfortunate for them, because it's hurricane, tornadoes, and bad weather, and the weather's changing. The climate is changing.
Yeah.
And I'm fearful for those people's lives as far as their homes, and I know this is the best that they can do, but that's what that worries me.
A lot of people got trailers after the flood.
And the flooding and that, because during that flood, my mom lost everything. A lot of our stuff was lost, pictures and things like that, but that's what's kinda.
But are there regulations for when you cross over the track going toward the auction ring? Do they have rules and regulations for those people to clean up the places? And you know, it might be, a trailer house might be the best you can do, but you can be clean. I don't care if you're living under a bridge.
I really don't know what the I do see lots and houses now being cleared out, but I can't tell you what the city ordinances are.
Well, somebody needs to go to the city council and say, look, I see you got a trailer house, but why does all this junk have to be around it?